Hello, and welcome to this part 4 of New Earth, New Love workshop series. I am your host and self-love guru, Krishna Escobar. Thank you for joining me today. I am most humbly grateful for your time and attention, and am excited to be a supporter and ally in your personal healing and wellness journey. This particular workshop series addresses the unique question, how do we create the new earth? And if you are new to this workshop series and to my work, you must be prepared for a unique journey, because my work centered in decolonizing the body-mind, building a conscious lifestyle, and really stepping into our purpose on purpose through self-love wellness really is driven by some really core foundational elements that include love. And of course, that sets a very strong foundation for New Earth's love. And that's what this workshop series is all about. A very special download that I received in the month of March of 2020. And it inspired, through divine inspiration, a really moving into the notion of love through a more balanced and harmonious experience. And so within each workshop, I will offer you guidance on your physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual skill building. And in this particular workshop series, what's so exciting is that we are going to be exploring what is New Earth love. And this is part 4, as I mentioned, where we really get to dive into the notion of creative expression versus output and work. And we are going to think and explore the notion of living a heart-centered lifestyle. What joy and play mean, what sacred creativity and time mean, and really dive into the notion of output and work. Because when I play, I follow the heart's way. And that is our inspiring quote for today. So as always, we begin each workshop with a little moment of contemplation. So this is today's contemplation reflection activity to start us off. What does play feel like? Take a moment, jot down 3 to 5 words that describe play for you, and really hone in on what does it make you feel like? Where in the body do you feel these feelings? I'm going to give you a moment to do some reflection. Okay, well, I hope you had some moments there. Know that you can always revisit this again. Let us move on into the very first important element of this workshop series, and that's talking about the New Earth energy that is available to us. Now, I have discussed in prior workshops the really important 42220 gateway that opened up the 444 New Earth gateway, as I like to call it. And this new earth gateway is and has been very, very powerful in our ability to access the energy towards creating newness, to creating change. And a part of that, just like any cycle, means that there is an ending to a death, a purging of what no longer serves us. And so this new earth gateway energy and this workshop series is designed to work in tandem with one another. So depending on when you access this video, you might be receiving its energy in a different phase and stage. And in the prior workshop series, I have touched on some notions and aspects of the astrological cosmic happenings and how those things are really affecting us and our energy here on the planet Earth, because we are a part of the universe, so everything affects everything else. But today specifically, I want to talk about the shift that happened in May with the north node of the moon moving into Gemini. And this north node in Gemini shift has really begun to really shift what is important to us. And if you're not familiar with the north node and south nodes and the cycles in which they run, they're every 18 months or so, I would really encourage you to take a little research journey into that, because that is what I'm going to talk about right now with the North Node in Gemini. Seeking out information is going to be really important to us, but really understanding what these nodes provide us in terms of opening up energy helps us really lean on the energy so that we are making the most of our efforts. So the North Node in Gemini shifts really has us ordinating our attention and looking at communication, sources of knowledge, and its function in our life. For most of you accessing this workshop series, it comes because of this specific energy. And this particular energy is really, really important because the Gemini archetype, the energy, we have Gemini energy. Every person has Gemini energy at somewhere in their natal chart. And Gemini really talks about the duality, the nature of the yin and yang, the masculine and feminine. So those aspects of duality, the light and dark that we all have as a part of our 3D experience on the planet as a human, addresses this particular energy, this nature to want to understand and build our thinking mind. Gemini rules the thinking mind. And as I discussed in depth in part 3, the placement of the North Node in Gemini really allows us to access new learning information. And thus, this supports our new skill building, built out of the things that we are exposed to during this time. So there's a lot happening on the planet. There's a lot happening in the United States. There's a lot happening in our micro communities throughout and within. And as we seek out new information, as we desire to expand our thinking mind during this North Node in Gemini shift, it's important to really hone in on what is information that resonates. And it's important because we are so inundated. We have access to so much information. And a piece of information that might resonate with one person might not resonate with another. It doesn't mean or infer right or wrong. It just means that the level of information isn't in alignment with the vibrational wave of the person at a given time. And so I share all this because, the aspect of honing in on and building new skills particularly within this workshop, is going to be really powerful because of the duality of that Gemini energy, asking us to really focus on our relationships and how we collaborate rather, and build community with others. And this balancing of the internal self with the external really calls us to think about boundaries of information, boundaries of our physical interactions, boundaries for ourselves, what is serving our highest version of ourselves. And so when we think about external authority figures, whether that's our social group, whether that's government, whether that's religion or some other type of philosophy that governs our values and our beliefs, it is important at this time to think about the internal authority. What is informing our choices, and really thinking about how do we connect to our higher self within the self. Because building more conceptual knowledge at this time is going to be vital. Building practical conceptual knowledge is going to be vital. And what's most powerful about this is our desire to be social and to notice the cycles that are occurring around us rather than looking at our experience only on a linear timeline. This happens, then this happens, then this happens. When we raise our consciousness and we really tap into the new earth energy, we begin to feel and realize that life on the planet has cycles, but the timeline isn't always the same. And so a linear timeline is the old dogma, the old timeline, the prior paradigm. And now we move in and shift into this new paradigm, which is the new earth. So it's important for us to consider that and lean on the retrogrades. In part 3, I discussed the Venus retrograde and its important impact on us. Now, again, depending on when you access this series, Venus retrograde might have already concluded. Then some of the other retrogrades that are taking place in 2020 include the Jupiter and Saturn through May and September, rather, going from May to September. And that's actually what I want to focus on today in this workshop series. Because as I discussed in part 1, the importance of these planets set the stage from some of the most larger, really overarching macro level human experiences like values and government. And at this time, we see how our values intersect and how we can actually manifest our reality. And with the retrogrades brings a natural inclination to want to go within, to want to be introspective. Retrogrades are times of reflection. They actually bring us back to the cycle that had been occurring within that planet. And Saturn and Jupiter are larger planets, so they take a much more longer period of time to go around the planet. And so their retrogrades are going to be really looking at that link between the two. But when we think about the retrogrades, thinking about how the particular archetyped elements of each will help us understand why this energy during 2020 is powerful for us in our upgrade. Saturn specifically is the planet of rules and discipline. It's the planet of structure. And with the retrograde, we will receive some easing up on these rules and discipline, allowing us some wiggle room to reassess our goals and our relationships. This retrograde gives us time to find what inspires us and brings us joy. And Saturn's really powerful energy is best on Saturdays, just to give you a little seed of knowledge there. And Jupiter is a planet of growth, the planet of risk taking, and this offers us many blessings as we are going through a lot of transformation, change, growth, moving out of assessing what rules and structures do we want to abide by. I talked about Pluto's retrograde in the first series and its impact on really, purging out that is the planet of death and rebirth. And so there is a lot happening right now in this 2020 year. So as we lean on Gemini North Node, providing us opportunity for learning new knowledge, we can also lean on the planet of Jupiter, giving us blessings that we will feel within the new opportunities that are going to be birthing through this time. When we focus and orientate our perspective, our vantage point on the new, without focusing so much on the old, on the past, on the prior, on the what no longer is in the new timeline, we allow ourselves to move forward and look from a present future perspective versus a past present perspective, which most people tend to engage in. And in my one-on-one coaching and leadership programs, that is a lot of what we discuss, is specifically how we move our perspective. It's a process because it is a mindset shift. But the planet of Jupiter specifically offers us an opportunity to birth new. And with the support of Saturn in this retrograde, we have the ability to tap into what this workshop is all about. And that is on play. So let us get into it. Why don't we? So let's take another moment to do some thinking. Have you ever heard of or used any of these terms before? Play, playfulness, childlike. Creativity, time, work, heart-centered. What do these words mean? What kinds of feelings or thoughts come up for you? If you have a pencil and paper, I encourage you to write those down. But if not, just settle in your body and notice. Give you a moment to think about that. So let us take the last concept and reflect on it a little, because this is really crucial when we think about play, and it will come back around. I promise I'll bring this full circle for you as we move through this workshop. So what is heart-centered living? This is my definition. It is the body, mind, soul complex operating from a place of divine creativity, joy, and love. Living a heart-centered life. So, integration of the body, mind, soul complex allows for the human and the soul to merge because it allows love and a heart-centered perspective to lead the body-mind. And this is really powerful because heart-centered living are all of the main components that afford us the opportunity to experience joy. Which, if you ask any person that you know what they really want out of life, it is going to be connected to feeling bliss or joy in some capacity. People describe that in many ways, but it very much is in connection to that. Heart-centered living is really looking at the idea of divine balance, meaning how we think about and treat time. Sacred time is the natural order of balance because it is harmonious. It naturally brings liberation, freedom, and peace. Other universal terms and experiences that humans describe as a part of this evolutionary process are connected with the notion of time. Time is a unique human experience because sacred time allows us to see time from a more balanced body, mind, soul perspective. So because time is a human experience, it is something that we in this three-dimensional world are going to be required to navigate, negotiate, and find balance within. It is not something that we experience when we are in our other dimensional selves. It is not something we experience in the dream state when we are in our subconscious reality. And in this way, when we explore and re-examine sacred time, what time is and how it reflects in our life and our actions begin to shift because our perspectives and our states of being begin to be reworked. And often that means that we have to purge the narratives that we've received about who and what we are, who and what it is to be human entails, and we must then rewrite our narrative. Because when we think about output and work, for instance, we look at it through a very linear time perspective. Why? Because this is part of the colonial reality. The colonial reality wants us to view our experience through a specific time lens. And so output and work, when re-examined through the lens of sacred time, we begin to realize that, time is valuable. And so being enslaved by time is something that we are going to decolonize from in order to step into sacred time. The idea of sacred time, the experience. When we see our sacred time as valuable, we allow it more balance in its offerings, meaning we are not going to be willing to buy into systems which do not provide us an equitable exchange for our output, for our work. So our output and work must change its meaning within our experience. No longer do we see work and output as the sole avenues for our life. Instead, with divine balance, the wisdom teaches us that the virtue of divine play and joy found in our sacred creativity is the stepping stones for living a heart-centered life. So what does sacred creativity mean for you? And here's another take a moment. How does sacred creativity influence my life? Take a deep breath, emptying the belly. Visualize what sacred creativity looks and feels like in your life. Take a special sacred moment and ponder this. Sacred creativity. My energy always gets so excited when I get to explore and talk about this topic. Yes. So, sacred creativity. Hold that for you in a moment, because that exploring of what that feels like for you, that visual, is going to be really powerful. So, know that you can come back to this at any time and revisit. So, just as we self love deeply, as we acknowledge the body, mind, soul, and can integrate this into our reality, the lens we see and engage in with the world naturally begins to purge the realities that no longer align. Realities that once resided about time, about work, about output. We begin to see the slave of time, and we begin to leverage the sacredness of the energy, because sacred time is balanced when we decolonize. And as in with divine balance, time affords us the abundance of the opportunity, rather, for our creativity, because it speaks to us as our body mind is cleared and balanced. This knowledge that we build activates our intuition. It allows us to feel aligned, to feel comfortable and at ease when we are in our most joyous, playful, and happy state. When we recognize that lives within our inner knowing, it speaks to us when we listen, and then we're able to give it feedback from a place of love. And we then feed and fuel ourselves with more play and imagination. This rebirth process, this re-examining, re-expressing, decolonizing process unlearns, relearns, and it begins to identify the colonial ideas of time and the more intuitive indigenous realities that lie within the heart space. It allows us to use our heart to lead the way. And in this heart-centered living, joy is our compass, because when we live a heart-centered lifestyle, when we are experiencing bliss and joy, it's a compass because it tells us we're going the right direction. It will always lead us to our destiny. And even in the quote, quote, failures or challenges that we experience, we identify through the inspiration of divine balance, sacred time. It inspires us with its knowledge and allows us to understand that those challenges are important lessons for us to learn, because it helps us step deeper into our soul purpose. It further supports our action steps, our urges, our soul urges, because it is the heart's urges as well. Our heart is our soul. It speaks to us through our love, through the embeddedness of love that is our purest state. And to creatively maladapt is to channel in the innate ability to create one's own reality. And with our own soul urge, our thoughts, we step into our rebirth and transformation. Harmonized, beautifully, aligned synchronously, without much effort. So why play? Why play? Well, the reason why we want to just play is because sacred time is our divine right. It reflects balance, harmony, and peace. To step into our joy and play is to live a heart-centered life. It is to honor sacred creativity and rebirth, that is a part of our experience at this time, because as I've shared in other workshops, the divine feminine is rising. And the energy of the divine feminine is really powerful because play is crucial in order to activate the high heart. The high heart, where we feel childlike and playful. So if anybody ever says, oh, you're acting childish, smile with the most, adorable smirky smirk you could ever have, knowing of your divine truth, of the divine nature of sacred time, and know that you stepping into sacred creativity and sacred time is allowing you to rebirth into something magnificent. So take that statement and rebirth it, transform it, and make it be divine. So sacred creativity is the divine feminine rising. And so another, quote for you in this workshop series is, New Earth love is rebirthed from a playful, joyous, and heart-centered place. In order for us to tap into the New Earth love, we must step into a playful, joyous, and heart-centered reality, knowing that it is our divine right. And in this way, sacred creativity is divine feminine rising. I absolutely love this beautiful cosmic dancer artwork here. This is from my own art collection, a beautiful memory of a meditative vision to share with you, thinking about the divine feminine rising and sacred creativity. So sacred creativity is rooted in the divine feminine. And from this place of love, we are able to enact and make use of our innate intelligences, our divine wisdom. We awaken it to our hidden truths that lie within ourselves when we allow the divine feminine to rise. No matter the gender expression, the divine feminine allows us to use our intuition from a place of compassion. It allows us to step into true instinct from a place of love, to imagine and to hold space. Specifically, I envision this from a womb healing perspective, where we expand and we grow and we nurture our evolution. This sacred creativity lie within the divine feminine womb. Again, this being a birthing place for our reality, regardless of gender expression. Our ability to maladapt, to create a new self anchored in love is radical. It is radical, and it is awakening the transformation within, inspiring the divine within. And from this perspective, we find our most glorious inner self, our inner child, and we can nurture it, love it, help heal it if it is needed. We can activate it, we can affirm it, and we can play as its friend with love and joy. And in this playful nature, it allows us to stay in our heart space. And we are clear because we integrate the soul within our body and mind experience. And in this way, love is truly rebirthed. It's cleansed and it's liberated. And so this is the reason why, in this way, by implementing and thinking about these concepts and constructs throughout this workshop series, I share the notion of love rebirthed, because love rebirthed is liberated love. Love that doesn't include the notion of fear, as I speak on in workshop 3. And as we move into New Earth Love, I want to encourage you to really connect with what brings your heart bliss, what brings you joy, what lets you feel light and alive, what brings a smile to your face. Such a crucial part of our experience to feel pleasure. And yes, it is all the human emotions, as I talk about in the first part of this series. And play is a crucial part. So let us do a recap. Why should we just play? Now, let's go back to the very, very, very beginning when you made a list. What does play feel like? And I want you to reflect on that list one more time now that you've gone through this workshop series process. Reflect on the list. Anything interesting that you notice? Now I want you to consider, in what areas of my life would I like to strengthen my use of sacred time and creativity? How do I currently support joy and play? How would I like to increase my ability to live a heart-centered life? Think about a few ways and jot them down. Knowing that these questions are here for you to connect with and expand upon at any time. Take a few moments now to just think about these things. As always, I am immensely grateful and humbled to be your facilitator and guide through these unique workshop series. And if you find yourself in a interest or with an interest to really expand your skills, to move into your healing and wellness with a more guided, intuitive mentor, please look into creating a working relationship together. I would love to support your unique healing and wellness journey. You can find more information about all my services and leadership programs on my website at Self Love Creatives on the gram. I'm also on Facebook, but you will rarely find me there. But again, find more information on my website, selflovecreatives.com. I also am hosting a very cool and exciting new podcast. You can find more information about that on my website as well. Hosted on YouTube every Thursday, exploring all things love, imagination, and transformation, where you get a unique opportunity to receive an energy healing transmission and a guided meditation in my segment 3. So definitely encourage you to take advantage of that free resource. And I hope that you join me for part 5, Universe All Love. In this workshop series, we'll be diving into the powerful energy of oneness and unity. And I look forward to sharing that with you at a later time. That is in progress, so stay connected with me for all the details. And if you liked any of the art found throughout this workshop PowerPoint, they are acrylic and hand-drawn art pieces. I'm also an artist. You can find all the information about my artistry at Kisses for Liberation on the gram. or you can find more information about my artistry on my website on the Om Art tab. I use my middle name, Omahika, for all my artistry. So you can find me there for that. In the spirit of sacred creativity and play, you get a chance to see all of my meditative art. That's what I call it. All been inspired through meditative visions. And I would love to share that with you as well. So please connect with me. And if you're interested in creating your very own unique commission piece, I would love to support your healing journey and your expression of creativity as well. Please reach out to me for that. Thank you again for joining me. I immensely send my gratitude, my love to you for taking the time to invest in your healing and your transformation. May I see you, connect with you. Much love.